A buddy brought his 2021 Silverado into the shop last month with a knocking sound. It had 32,000 miles on it. He followed GM's maintenance schedule to the letter, but the lifters still collapsed, and the repair cost $9,000. That failure was completely preventable, and so are these 8 mistakes that kill Chevy trucks before 100,000 miles. Number 8. Trusting GM's oil life monitor. If you own a Chevy truck or SUV built after 2014, that little oil life percentage on your dashboard is not telling you the whole story. GM's oil life monitor tracks engine temperature, idle time, and RPM to estimate when your oil is used up. Sounds smart. The problem is, it cannot measure what your oil actually looks like. It cannot detect metal contamination, and this is the big one. It has absolutely no idea how much oil is left in your engine. On a Silverado with the 5.3-liter V8 engine, that monitor will happily sit at 40% oil life while your engine is running 2 quarts low. A GM dealership technician posted on the Silverado forums that over half the engine replacements he does could have been avoided if owners had changed their oil between 3,500 and 5,000 miles instead of waiting for the monitor to hit 0. Multiple dealership service departments have confirmed they see sludge-packed engines at 50 to 60,000 miles on trucks that follow the oil life monitor religiously. The fix is dead simple. Ignore the monitor. Change your oil every 5,000 miles with full synthetic. If you do mostly short trips or a lot of idling, drop that to every 3,500 to 4,000 miles. We will talk about exactly which oil you need in a minute, because that matters more than you think on these engines. Number 7, never checking your dipstick between oil changes. This one kills more Chevy engines than anything else on this list, and it costs $0 to prevent. The GM Active Fuel Management System on the 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter V8 engines shuts down 4 of 8 cylinders while you are cruising on the highway to save fuel. The newer dynamic fuel management system is even more aggressive, running as few as 1 cylinder using 17 different firing patterns that change 80 times per second. Both systems burn oil by design. GM officially considers 1 quart of oil consumption per 1,000 to 3,000 miles to be within normal range. Think about that for a second. If you are going 7,000 miles between oil changes and your engine is eating a quart every 2,000 miles, you could be 3 quarts low before that oil light ever flickers. One Silverado owner on the GM truck forums reported complete lifter failure at just 27,500 miles. He had all the lifters replaced under warranty. Then another lifter collapsed 2,750 miles later. A 2023 Silverado High Country owner with the 6.2-liter lost oil pressure and threw a rod at 21,000 miles. Federal safety regulators opened an investigation covering 877,000 GM vehicles with the 6.2-liter V8 for exactly this kind of catastrophic failure. Check your dipstick every single time you fill up with gas. That 5-second habit can save you $8,000 to $15,000 for an engine replacement. If you notice your Chevy is consistently a quart low every couple thousand miles, do not panic. That is unfortunately common on these engines. Keep it topped off and consider the disabler device we are going to talk about in a minute. Number 6. Using the wrong oil and cheap filters. When General Motors says your Chevy requires Dexos 1 Gen 3 certified oil, they are not just trying to sell you expensive oil. Dexos 1 Gen 3 was introduced in late 2021 with specific testing for oxidation resistance, sludge control, and a low-speed pre-ignition protection standard that goes beyond the normal API rating you see on the bottle. On an engine where hydraulic lifters depend on perfectly clean oil pressure to switch between 4 and 8 cylinders thousands of times per drive, the oil specification actually matters. The good news is almost every major brand now carries the certification: Mobil 1, Pennzoil Platinum, Valvoline, Castrol Edge, and even the Kirkland Synthetic from Costco. Just look for the Dexos 1 Gen 3 logo on the bottle. Filters matter just as much. The AC Delco PF-E series filter that many quick lube shops grab off the shelf uses glued fabric end caps and a cheap bypass valve. One Silverado owner traced persistent low oil pressure at 40,000 miles directly to a failed bypass valve inside that filter. Stick with the AC Delco UltraGuard Gold, a Wix or a Napa Gold filter with metal end caps. If your truck has the active fuel management system, upgrade from the shorter PF48 filter to the longer PF63. It holds more dirt and flows better for those oil-hungry lifters. Number 5, running your engine without an AFM or DFM disabler. This is the single best $40 to $140 investment you can make on any Chevy V8 truck or SUV. The Active Fuel Management System, abbreviated AFM, and the Dynamic Fuel Management System, abbreviated DFM, which deactivates cylinders to save fuel, are the #1 cause of lifter failures in modern GM engines. A class action lawsuit covering 2014 to the present Silverados, Tahoes, and Suburbans alleges that GM knew these lifter mechanisms were prone to collapse and did not adequately address the problem. When a lifter collapses inside your engine, the repair bill starts at $2,500 for one side and climbs to $4,000 to $9,000 for a full lifter and camshaft replacement. If metal debris circulates through the oil system before you catch it, you are looking at a complete crate engine at $8,000 to $15,000 installed. A plug-in disabler device keeps all 8 cylinders firing all the time. Yes, you will lose maybe 1 to 2 miles per gallon in fuel economy, but that extra fuel cost over 100,000 miles is maybe $1,000 total. Compare that to a $9,000 lifter and cam job, and the math is not even close. The devices are simple to install too. You just plug them into the OBD2 port under the dashboard. No wiring, no tuning, no permanent modifications to worry about. Number 4, believing GM when they say transmission fluid is lifetime. This might be the most expensive mistake on this list. GM's owner manuals for the 8-speed transmission in 2015 to 2019 Silverados and Tahoes say you do not need to check or change the transmission fluid under normal driving conditions. They even removed the dipstick so you could not check it if you wanted to. And that is exactly how over 800,000 Chevy owners ended up in a class action lawsuit. The 8-speed came filled from the factory with Dexron 6 fluid that absorbs moisture over time. That moisture degrades the torque converter clutch material and causes a shudder you can feel between 40 and 65 miles per hour. A lot of owners feel that shudder, think it is normal, and keep driving for months. By the time they take it to a shop, metal shavings from the damaged torque converter clutch have already contaminated the valve body and clutch packs. At that point, a fluid swap will not save it. A transmission replacement runs $5,000 to $9,500. GM developed a new fluid called Dexron HP, sometimes called Mobil 1 Blue Label, specifically to fix this problem. If you have a 2015 to 2019 Chevy with the 8-speed, get that fluid swapped immediately if you have not already. And for the 10-speed transmission in 2019 and newer Silverados, you need Dexron Ultra Low Viscosity. This is a completely different fluid that is not compatible with Dexron 6 or Dexron HP. Using the wrong fluid in a 10-speed will damage it internally. No matter which transmission your Chevy has, change the fluid every 40,000 to 50,000 miles. If you tow regularly, drop that to every 25 to 30,000 miles. If you are finding this helpful, hit subscribe. We cover Chevy maintenance tips every week that can save you thousands. Number 3, ignoring your coolant system. A GM Technical Service Bulletin confirmed coolant loss as a known issue across nearly all 2014 to 2021 Chevy trucks with V8 engines. The thermostat housing on these trucks is a documented weak point that triggers a chain reaction. When the thermostat sticks or leaks, the engine starts cycling between hot and cold too rapidly, which fatigues the radiator tubes until they crack. By the time you notice coolant on the ground under your Silverado, you usually need both a new radiator and a redesigned thermostat housing, running $1,500 to $2,500 combined. For Equinox owners with the 2.4-liter engine from 2010 to 2017, coolant problems are even more dangerous. That engine is prone to head gasket failure when it overheats, and a lot of owners keep driving when the temperature gauge spikes instead of pulling over immediately. That turns a $1,200 head gasket job into a $5,000 to $8,000 engine replacement. Check your coolant level at every oil change. This takes 30 seconds. And it is one of the easiest ways to catch a slow leak before it turns into an overheated engine on the side of the highway. Flush the system every 2 to 3 years or 50,000 miles, whichever comes first. And whatever you do, do not mix Dex Cool Orange coolant with conventional green coolant because the mixture turns into a gel that clogs passages throughout the engine. If you are topping off in an emergency, use distilled water and get it flushed properly as soon as possible. Number 2, pretending carbon buildup does not exist on your direct injection engine. Every single engine GM currently puts in a Chevy truck or SUV uses direct injection only. The fuel sprays directly into the combustion chamber instead of washing over the intake valves like older engines did. Unlike some competitors that added port injectors to keep the valves clean, GM did not. So oil vapors from the PCV system bake onto the back of your intake valves over time, forming hard carbon deposits that cause misfires, a rough idle, and power loss. One shop found heavy carbon deposits on a Silverado 5.3-liter engine at only 21,600 miles. The 3.6-liter V6 in the Colorado and Traverse is even worse, with GM issuing a technical service bulletin specifically for misfires caused by carbon buildup. Here is what a lot of people get wrong. Pouring fuel additives like Seafoam or Techron into your gas tank cannot clean intake valves on a direct injection engine. The fuel never touches the back of those valves. It is like trying to wash the outside of a window by spraying cleaner on the inside. The real fix is walnut blasting, where crushed walnut shells are blasted against the intake valves to scrub the carbon off. Plan for this service around 60,000 to 80,000 miles and budget $500 to $1,000 at an independent shop. Also, run top-tier gasoline exclusively. Testing by AAA showed 19 times fewer engine deposits compared to non-top-tier fuel. That small price difference at the pump adds up to serious engine protection over time. Number 1, never changing your brake fluid. This is the one almost nobody thinks about, and on a truck that weighs over 6,000 pounds, it matters more than you would expect. Fresh DOT3 brake fluid boils at 401 degrees Fahrenheit. Brake fluid absorbs moisture from the atmosphere through microscopic pores in the brake lines. After 2 to 3 years, that moisture contamination drops the boiling point down to as low as 284 degrees. On a heavy Silverado or Tahoe towing a trailer down a mountain grade, brake temperatures climb fast. If that fluid boils, you get air bubbles in the brake lines, and the pedal goes soft right when you need it most. Even before that happens, the moisture corrodes the inside of your brake calipers. The caliper pistons start sticking, you get uneven pad wear, and eventually the caliper seizes completely. A brake technician on the Duramax forum put it perfectly. The only time they see calipers lock up is on trucks where the fluid was never changed. General Motors recommends a brake fluid flush every 2 to 3 years or 45,000 miles, but the vast majority of truck owners have never done it once. A flush costs $100 to $150 at any shop. Replacing seized calipers, warped rotors, and a damaged ABS module runs $600 to $2,500. On a vehicle this heavy, your brakes deserve the same attention you give your engine oil. Look, Chevy builds solid trucks. The Silverado, the Tahoe, the Traverse, these can absolutely go 200,000 miles and beyond. But they will not get there on the General Motors factory maintenance schedule alone. The difference between a Silverado that needs a new engine at 60,000 miles and one that runs past 250,000 miles is roughly $200 to $400 per year in extra preventive maintenance. That is less than 1 month's truck payment. Change your oil early, check your dipstick at every fill-up, disable active fuel management, and put your transmission fluid on a real schedule. Do that, and your Chevy will reward you for a very long time. If you want to see the biggest mistakes Chevy owners make when buying used, that video is on screen right now.